Hey everyone, Jordan St. Jones here, host and creator of the BorderlineDad podcast. I really appreciate you being here, whether it's your first time, your millionth time, or your billionth time. The fact that you'd come on by and give me a listen means the world to me. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks. So, my kids have been home almost 2 weeks. And they'll have another week or so before they go back to school, unless people decide to keep this lockdown going longer. When it first started, I kind of I was panicking. I have a hard enough time taking care of the kids sometimes on the weekends or after school. Mornings are really hard. I've never been a morning person. I used to really, really struggle. On Mondays when they went to school, I would usually do errands like laundry, shopping, do a thorough cleaning of the house, whatever needed to be done. Tuesday through Friday, I would attempt to work my job. And it's great because I'm able to make my own hours, but at the same time, I only worked when they were in school. So if they were sick, if there was a vacation or a pandemic, I would not work. My family has been very supportive in helping me. My sister has been watching my two kids for a couple hours a day, about 3 days a week. And that is so I can get things done like laundry. I used today to get laundry done. I didn't do it Monday or Tuesday just because we had a preset kind of time and my family was very busy Monday, so they could not watch the kids. I'm not able to work as much as I used to, but I am fortunate enough that my family has allowed me to get out of the house for a bit. They watch the kids so I can do errands, so I can try to work. And it got me thinking about when I'm out of the house. It got me kind of thinking about something, and I don't know if any of you feel the same way. Forget about the pandemic for a minute. Forget about everything closing. Forget about everything for a second. When I have my kids full-time, like I have for a while now, it can be a bit rough. And even though you technically get a break while they're in school, whether you're working or whatever, you're kind of getting a break from them because they're in school. I have family that, and I'm very lucky because I have family not only that's helped me out in these times by watching the kids, but I also, have been very lucky in, aside from the pandemic, my mother takes my kids once a month. I had a brain fart there, and I don't know what happened. I couldn't think. But Stacey is about once a month. Although lately it's been a little more because, I met someone a while back, on the 28th. We've been together a month, which is just insane to me, but I love it. It's a good crazy. But so anyway, she took them for a few weekends in a row so that we could kind of get to know each other more. I could hang out with her. She could come over here. And it's just, it's been nice. It's been really nice. I, it's hard though sometimes not to give in to the fear. But, that being said, you should also take everything happening very seriously. Social distancing. If you can stay home, please do stay home. I have the ability a few hours a day, a few days a week to try and work. So, of course, I'm going to take that opportunity. I know people that are not as lucky, and I feel for them. I do. I could be a lot worse off. No one is sick at the moment. I've been thinking about how, my kids are my everything. And it's nice when you have a break coming up, if you are able to get a break from the kids, a real break, not a 2 or 3 hours a day while you work break, but like a real actual break, like when my mom takes them for the weekend. It's nice when you're kind of looking forward to it, like, yeah, all right, a couple more days and then I'm gonna get that break. But for me, it's not all fun and games. Nothing's really changed from when she would take them before, meaning that I don't really have plans to go hang out with anyone. That's kind of taboo right now. When she does take the kids, I'll probably attempt to work for quite a while to make up for all my lost time. I'm not going to work the whole day, but I'm certainly going to work a good chunk of it. Definitely into the night a little bit. But I'm saying all this because for me, when that break arrives, that much needed, much anticipated break, the kids are out of the house. Whether I'm spending the whole day working, whether I'm hanging out with friends, whether I'm just chilling at home, when they're gone, I don't feel a purpose, I guess. I often say that my kids are my reason for living. They're my reason for getting up in the morning, for even putting on pants, showering, eating, work, attempting to work. Like, if I didn't have kids, I don't know where I would be. And that's scary to me, Scary because I often feel like my only purpose is to be a father. And when people ask me how would you describe yourself, not that anyone's asking me, but how would you describe yourself? Well, I'm a father before all else. If I'm to go out with someone, I make it very clear that my kids will always come first, no matter how far or deep into the relationship it is, no matter how heavy the feelings are, no matter what. My kids will always come first. And so when they're gone, when they're at a sleepover with my mom's or whatever, I just feel lost, I feel sometimes like my function, I not a robot, but I feel like a programming. I feel like my entire life is just one big program, meaning at usually around 6 in the morning, I wake up. My alarm is set at 6:15. I have to get out of bed by 6:30. And this is like during the school week when schools are open and everything's normal. I get up and I do what I gotta do. By 6:30, I am up. I have opened my daughter's door. My son has already opened his door. Good morning, guys. And, we'll go downstairs. I'll change my daughter, get her into a new outfit. I have, by this point, given my son a new outfit. He changes himself, fix him a quick breakfast, and we're out the door by no later than 7:15. I drop my son off at school, and I drop my daughter off at the all-autism school she goes to in the mornings, before she's transferred to her other school. And then most days, because I'm not a morning person and I need to shower, before I go to work, I'll go home, I'll shower, maybe grab myself a bite to eat, use the restroom, do whatever I gotta do. Sometimes I pack myself a little goodie bag, some goldfish, some couple bottles of water, some raisins, some snacks, a little goodie bag, because when you're DoorDash, when you're doing food delivery, the temptation is very high to spend all the money you're earning on food. I've never eaten out of anyone's bag. I think it's disgusting. I've never done any of the horrible things that I've heard so much about before I started, because I think it's just vile. I think I wouldn't want someone doing that to me. So why the heck would I do that to someone else? And but anyway, so I shower, and after I've packed whatever I'm going to pack, doing whatever I got to do, I head out the door. Sometimes I'll take a few minutes to drink a coffee, watch the news, or catch up on a show I might have missed the night before. This isn't like every day, but maybe once a week, depending. But I'm out the door at 10:30 no matter what. Sometimes a few minutes before, but never later than 10:30. So if I don't get to finish a full episode of the show I missed, I just, save the rest for later. Or I just watch it on my phone while I'm waiting for an order. I usually sit in the Walmart parking lot and just kind of wait for orders. It can be kind of boring, but anyway, so I go to work. And I come home. I will typically be home around, 2:10, 2:15 at the latest. That gives me about 15 to 20 minutes before my son gets off the bus. So, walk down and get him, whatever. So, I'll eat lunch. I'll eat lunch. Or if I'm not hungry, if I've eaten all my snacks, and I'm just kind of waiting, kick my shoes off, and watch a couple YouTube videos, check my email, relax a little bit, and then they come home. My daughter usually needs a diaper change not long after she comes home. Most days, probably 3 out of 5 times. So we do that. I get them a snack if they want one. We work on schoolwork, of course. And then after schoolwork, we'll play a video game, or we'll watch a movie. Typically, it's the same movie every day. Today we watched Onward. We got to mix up a little bit. I bought a new movie today. I don't buy things very often anymore, but we bought Onward. Due to the coronavirus and all the theaters shutting down, it got sent to digital early, so I was very excited. It was such a good movie. But so typically that's our schedule. And then I'll make a dinner. Bathe, change, bed. And then I wake up around 6. Alarm goes off at 6:15. And I'm out of bed by 6:30, out the door by 7:45. And it's the same thing every day. And while I think it's good to have routine, it can get kind of mundane and get kind of repetitive and boring, and so yeah. But I mean, I enjoy it, because I have my kids with me, and as a father, it's something you got to deal with. Is you got to learn how to regulate your own emotions and how you see things, so that your kids don't see any of your struggles. It's not their job. They're not supposed to be our protectors. We're supposed to pretend to be theirs. And so, we live out life day to day to day. But with this whole pandemic thing, for the past few weeks, we've gotten into a schedule. I'm not complaining at all, but I've been getting to sleep in at least till 9 every day, which is awesome. But it's kind of the same thing, So I get the kids up typically by, I don't know, no later than 9:30. You know what I mean? Like, if they want to sleep in a little longer, I'm not gonna question it. Sleep until 9:30, whatever. If one of the kids is sick, I'll let them sleep all day. I'm not going to push them. And I know if they're sick because they won't get up right away. It's kind of one of those things you kind of know after a while. Like my daughter, she'll stick her butt up in the air and curl up in a ball on the floor if she's sick. Every time. She used to do that in her crib. She's always done that. It's just kind of one of the tells, But, so life has kind of been mixed up a little bit, but we still have our routines, and it gets kind of boring. So and it gets very stressful because I don't even have really the break of them going to school. Not enough to really unwind, at least, except for when my mom takes them for the weekend. And the other thing I hate dealing with, and when you're going through a divorce, they teach you not to call your ex an ex or whatever. They tell you to use the term co-parent, and I don't like that term, at least in my situation, because it implies that the other person is actually trying. My situation is very, very, very weird and tricky because legally, the paperwork says that we split the kids 50-50. We each have them half the time. And that's just not true anymore. It hasn't been true for, a year and a half almost. So I want to go back to court soon and deal with that. But so they use the word co-parent, and my co-parent is someone who I've talked about in the past, has made a lot of mistakes, has abandoned our son on his 5th birthday, has abandoned my daughter, myself, and she had attempted to come back in our lives, and but it was still very messy. When we moved back out on our own again, in our own place, it was hard. Still, she never really came around more than once a week. She only ever, only ever really used him for a photo op. If she was going to take him out, take him to a baby shower, or take him somewhere, typically because there's other kids there, or, maybe she wants to look like a good mom. I mean, she doesn't, it's a very difficult situation because there'll be times where it seems like she wants nothing to do with them, and then she'll pop up and be like, well, they're my kids too. I'm like, well, I mean, kinda, yeah, legally, but I don't think that you should be able to use that card, because you're not a mom, really. But anyway, it's just, BPD, people who have it, typically, relationships are near impossible to maintain, is what I've read. Divorce was a pain in the ass. It was so hard, so emotional, at least on my end, and I was feeling emotional for the kids. And it's just not something I ever want to go through again. But I think co-parenting and having someone that you legally have to split the kids with and who you don't trust even for a second, it can be really hard if they still have rights, and it can really mess with your emotions, and it can trigger you maybe, and it can just shit time. It's hard because legally, if you're in a situation where you can't do anything, you can't do anything. Grit your teeth. You gotta, you can't let your kids see the hatred or feel it or anything. And you don't need a parenting class to know that. That's just common sense. They shouldn't have to worry about money. They shouldn't have to worry about feelings or bills. There's so much that we have to protect them from. And it's just, it can be infuriating because you have someone who's not a mother who tries to pull the mother card and say, they're my kids too. Well, start acting like it, It not just like once in a while when you're kind of feeling guilty or whatever, I know that, again, people have it a lot worse than me, and divorces have certainly ended up a lot messier than ours. But I think it's important to remember, if you have a co-parent, if you have an ex, that you've had kids with, and you have BPD, you have depression, or whatever you may have, it is important to remember that your kids did not get divorced. Your kids didn't do anything wrong, so they shouldn't have to suffer, They shouldn't have to hear you yelling and screaming. They shouldn't have to hear you, and we don't yell and scream. I'm just using that as an example, but we've actually been surprisingly civil, considering. But they don't need to hear you talking trash about an ex. My kids are in bed. One of them's asleep. I'm in a safe, quiet space. It's not like I'm gonna talk to my kid about, all the bad things that your mother has done, or talk like this in front of them, because that is not. My son already feels like the protector, so he doesn't need to feel like that in the first place, but he especially doesn't need any extra on his plate. I talked about before how one of the hardest things for me about everything was my son crying his eyes out. Sitting up in bed, crying his eyes out. Absolutely heartbroken and devastated. His mother left him. She's not coming home. So many things have been going wrong. His whole world is falling apart. And he's looking at me, and I'm going, buddy, it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. And I'm not crying, Daddy. See, I'm happy. And he will pretend to be happy while crying. And that is not something ever that is okay. He's a good kid. Parenting with BPD is a real challenge because you can have days where you're on top of the world, and then the very next day, or let's be honest, the very next hour, everything could change. Everything could change, and not necessarily for the good. My kids should never have to worry about the specifics of a divorce or a possible, what's the word, replacement, I guess. That's a bad word. I'll find another one for it, but they shouldn't have to worry about your emotions. When I was a kid and my parents were going through divorce, I heard a lot of yelling and screaming, a lot of pushing and shoving from other parties, figuratively trying to push and shove their way. That was a bad analogy, but pushing and shoving their way into the situation, only making it worse. People taking sides and people just really changing. It's so hard to have all these things going on in my head. Remembering the past, as far as like when I was a kid, remembering some of the stuff I went through. It just sometimes randomly will pop up in my head. Memories that I'd rather never even think about again will pop up in my head. Parenting is one of those things where it doesn't matter if you're having a mental breakdown, you still have a job to do. And it sounds so bad to say, but like if you're a single parent, you can't afford to, lock yourself away in your room. You can't afford to, be crying and complaining and yelling and screaming because, you still have a fucking job to do, if you have a partner, your partner should 100% be helping. And, if you have a partner, and they're not supportive of you mentally or physically, emotionally, they're not there for you, they're always hanging out with their buddies, they're not doing anything, they might even be abusive, you need to get the fuck out of there and get your kid out of there too, because you staying is not going to change anything. They're not going to fucking change. I am rambling quite a bit, but I feel like it's important to be open and honest, and I'm talking about parenting, I'm talking about mental illness, talking about parenting with mental illness, talking about partners, exes. Co-parents are sometimes the worst because, you have someone who maybe visits once a week, once every other week, and then all of a sudden they show up and they're like, here's donuts, let's have a sleepover, and they try to be all cool, and it's just not okay. I feel like people who use kids are horrible scum of the earth people. Even if you don't think you're using kids, if you're using kids even emotionally or playing on their emotions, if all three of us are sitting in a room and you're like, oh, maybe if it's okay with daddy, we can have a sleepover. Fuck that shit. I don't trust you one bit. And you're going to pull that crap. Now my son is all excited. And it, you know what I mean? So it can be really hard. And sometimes you can kind of bring up how you're feeling. But just be prepared that it very well might not fix anything. So you just have to be very, very cautious. And just take it one day at a time. Hide your emotions, at least in front of your kids. It's okay to cry. It's okay to yell and scream. But, again, don't expose your kids to that shit. Normally I'd say, wait till they're in school. But with everything shut down, you gotta find other ways. My typical way of getting lost is I'll find a show. I'll get addicted, and I'll just binge a whole season. Or, like I said, video games. I have my coping skills. If I'm not going to yell and scream, I'm gonna silently rage at enemies on a video game. So I don't know. I think you really got to think about your kids, though. Whether it's work, school, an ex, whether it's anything, your kids should always come first. And if you're putting men before your own kids, or you're just using the kids for a photo album, don't ever have the audacity to call yourself a parent. I think it's disgusting. I'm a parent. I'm a father. I'm a real dad. And step parents can be better parents than your actual parents were in some occasions. So, it's not a title. It's about you actually caring about the kids. It's about, you being there for them and holding their hand, kissing their boo-boos, cleaning up any boo-boos, or I meant to say blood, boo-boos, whatever. It's about helping them with homework, cleaning up their sick mess when they're sick, changing their diapers, actually being there for them. Mother's Day is approaching. I don't plan on doing anything for my kid's mom because that's not my job. And some people might think, well, on behalf of the kids, like, she doesn't deserve it. I think people are entitled sometimes, and I think that because they have that title of mother, that they deserve a Mother's Day present. That's just not fucking true. It's just the same with fathers. Like, you could have a deadbeat father, and they think just because they have that title of dad means that you have to do something for them for Father's Day. Fuck no. If you're a useless piece of shit, then you don't deserve to be called dad. Mental illness sucks. Then you pile on kids. Then you pile on an ex, divorce. You pile on work. You pile on a fucking pandemic. Sometimes it can seem like just too much to handle. Like, you want to scream, or you want to punch a hole in the wall. Like, you might feel like you want to lose your mind. And I encourage you to kind of try something that I had thought about. And I guarantee you it's probably already a well-known technique, but just let me have my moment thinking I made it up, even though I definitely probably didn't. When you're about to lose your mind, when you are about to just scream your damn head off, swear, whatever. When you take that inhaling breath, when you inhale so that you can exhale a scream, when you go inhale and you're about to, when you have that breath inside you, instead of letting a scream out, try, just letting it out slowly and see how you feel. And then maybe do it again. And it's not just deep breathing, it's thinking you're going to scream and going, and just getting ready to scream, but just going, just letting it out, just breathing, and just see how you feel. Do it a few times, see how you feel. And if you still feel like you want to scream or yell or punch a hole in the wall, then you got to separate yourself. Go in another room. Go for a walk if you can. Go in your room and just stare at the ceiling and reflect on what's happening. Again, going back to my 5-year rule, is the fact that your kids have been home 2 weeks and they won't stop screaming at each other, is that really going to matter in 5 years? Fuck no. If we're not all zombies in 5 years, then it won't matter. And even if we are zombies, it really won't matter. All I'm saying is, like, make sure that if you're going through a split or a divorce, no matter how nasty, keep it private. Keep it not on Facebook. Keep it not on any social media if you can help it. And keep, don't ever bring up stuff in front of the kids, do what you can. I do love y'all. I love you guys very much for tuning in and for listening. I kind of want to do a live one, but I would definitely type out some talking points so I'm not so rambly. And I would want to wait till I have more of an audience so that I could really get some actual viewing numbers of people watching the stream or whatever. I might do something on YouTube eventually, coming soon. I might do like a faceless thing. I don't know. We'll see, But I could ramble. I feel like I'm in a rambling mood, and I know a lot of my episodes lately have been rambling. But again, the hope is that someone listens and goes, "Oh shit, I feel the same way." Maybe I am not so alone, or maybe I'm not so alone. Maybe someone else out there does get it. I think rambling is good. I think being unscripted is good. I've never been scripted, but I think my first few podcasts were done with bullet points, at least, from my blog. I think rambling is good because it's kind of real. It's unedited, I'm not editing clips of this out. I'm not, editing the shit out of it, so it's a completely different thing. I want to be 100% real, The only time I get mad at myself is if I'm like 20 minutes into a podcast and I say someone's name that I shouldn't, and I'm like, fuck, and then I gotta start all over. Or just move on and pretend like I never said it. But I really enjoy rambling because I just think it's more real and authentic. I'm not trying to be someone else. I'm not trying to put on a persona. Borderline Dad is just a title I gave myself, but it does mean I'm acting differently than I do in the real world, So yeah, I will see you guys around. See you in the next one, whether it's tomorrow or the day after. It'll probably be the day after. I'm gonna really work on some notes and talking points tomorrow. I got a lot going on tomorrow. I gotta call some people, do some things, chill with the kiddos, and I can't record this when I'm hanging out with the kids because they'd be all over me. I'll have a guest eventually. I want to have a guest on. I won't give any details, but I think it'd be nice. Add another voice to the conversation. Kind of hope it goes well. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good night. And I'll see you in the next one.